welcome back to another video. I'm currently in Vancouver right now and I'm just finishing up the last bit of my trip here. So I've been here for the past week now for the holidays, and it's basically that time in between Christmas and New Year's as I'm filming this where there's not a whole lot happening, but I also feel like the days are blurring together. I've been spending time with family mostly and also just catching up with a couple friends. So I've decided to take myself out for a little solo date and we're in downtown right now. First things first, I'm gonna get myself a little matcha. If you guys are not from Canada, it is notoriously cold in a lot of cities, but the one place that it's not usually freezing cold would be Vancouver. I do live in Calgary now, and then prior to that I was living in Toronto. So oftentimes people will be like, don't you miss the winters in Vancouver? Because it's literally the only place that's warm in Canada. And to that I would say I do kind of miss it sometimes. Like, this is the first winter I've been back in a couple years because I didn't come back here last year, and admittedly it is quite nice to not have to wear a super thick jacket. I've done a couple of videos now in Vancouver, and I think the last couple, if you guys haven't checked those out, were more like the touristy things or spots that generally people check out if you're visiting, like down by the waterfront and stuff like that. Today we're gonna skip some of those places because I feel like I've gone to a lot of those spots in the past couple times that I've been here. I really want to go to a couple bookstores. I really want to go to Granville Island as well and just kind of wander around. It's just gonna be a nice little solo date wandering around, and I've saved a couple spots. Oh, I don't know if you guys just heard that, but there's a lot of crows in Vancouver. I am at this place called CO. Apparently this is Vancouver's first salt bread specialty store, which is kind of funny because I'm currently about to start my bread making obsession. So I've been literally seeing bread recipes all over Instagram, and one of them was for a salt bread, but I don't think I've ever had salt bread before. So I got their CO salt bread with tamago. Tamago is like Japanese egg. It also came from matcha, of course, so this is their cream matcha. Also, I feel like after traveling to Asia, I've started to appreciate sitting down at cafes more than I used to, because usually I'd be like, oh, let me just grab something and go. But I feel like there's definitely more and more cafe options now that have this type of vibe. Oh, I can just be here. Oh, this is actually perfect. That's what a scarf is for. Oh my god, this is actually really delicious. I haven't had a matcha in like a week. You know you have a problem when I shall try this little tamago bun. Oh, I should clean my hands. That's very tasty. I will also say that this is in Chinatown. The area that I was walking through was pretty nice. Like, I wouldn't feel uncomfortable walking there by myself, but if you walk a couple streets over, then it would probably be an area that I would be a little more cautious about. I think if you look up anything about Vancouver, then people will tell you that East Hastings is one of those streets that you generally try to avoid. Growing up here, I've kind of seen it all, so I'm not super surprised by it, but it could be a little bit jarring if you haven't been here before. And I've talked about this when I've traveled to other cities. I think it's just kind of inevitable now for most major cities to have areas that are a little bit more sketchy. I don't think it takes away from the cities that do have those nuanced challenges, but I do think it's something to consider if you're traveling, especially alone. So just walking around, definitely be aware of your surroundings. But with that out of the way, I'm going to enjoy the rest of my little bun, and then there's a couple little shops that I do want to check out close by. Since I'm here, I'm just gonna quickly shout out, if you're ever in Vancouver, that restaurant over there is called Phnom Penh, the one where there's like a million people standing outside. It is one of the most well-loved restaurants in Vancouver. It's like this Cambodian, Vietnamese type of vibe. The Chicken wings are phenomenal. The beef, butter beef, signature dish. This place also has a bib gourmand. Interesting. It's just kind of funny that every time I walk around areas that I don't come to often, I'm just like, oh my gosh, so much has changed. And then anyone that I'm with is like, yeah, no shit, you've moved away like 7 years ago. But I do love the restaurant scene here. I feel like there's so many places that have opened in the last few years. If you're ever looking for like really good food at a more affordable price, I would highly suggest looking at the Bib Gourmand, which is like not a Michelin star, but basically one tier down, but also more affordable. We've made it to the touristy place of the day, Granville Island. This is an absolute nightmare to get to if you're driving, and I don't think I know any locals that love going to Granville Island. The reason that many people do not like coming here is because it is an absolute disaster to get parking, and it's also usually very congested. It's actually pretty calm today from what I've seen. Like sometimes it'll be backed up with traffic for like the whole street coming into the island. It is an actual island, but it's a man-made island. I remember coming here since I was a kid, and there's like this little hut over there that has all these different stones and everything, but some of these places I think I've been here literally since I was born or even before that, so it's always a little nostalgic to come back here. But yeah, usually not somewhere that people go out of their way to come to, which is why I'm here by myself as well, because I feel like if you live here it's not really anything special. But if you don't live here, definitely make the time to come out because I think it's super cute. And you can also walk by the water, which we'll do in a second. There's a marketplace with foods. You guys know I love a food market and all that. So yeah, I'm very excited to be here, and on a day that it's not raining. That is also a really popular brewery called Granville Island Brewing, which of course is on Granville Island. When you come during the summertime as well, there's usually a lot of different performers. People will just be playing music and stuff like that. I think there might be someone performing somewhere, and it's still honestly quite lively, but in the summertime it's definitely an even better vibe. But it looks like for the holidays, because it was just Christmas last week, there were still a bunch of like decorations up. I'm thinking I might go get a little tea or something just to keep myself warm, and then we'll go walk by the water. Thank you. I think I know why it was so quiet outside. It's because everyone is in here. It is very crowded. There are so many vendors in the market, including one of my favorite donut spots, Lee's. I didn't go there this time, and I honestly was just not super hungry, but if you do get the chance, there's tons of great spots.
That's a Kalu gift.
Thank you so much.
Happy holidays. Do you have a stamp card with you already?
I don't. I'll take it.
The green button is to approve. Arrows will be to sign your life away.
So it's actually kind of funny. I have a little story from this area. You might be able to tell there's like a lot of birds around me, and I feel like it's gotten worse and worse because people just drop their food everywhere, or they'll feed birds intentionally, which you really shouldn't do, so shame on you if you do that. Oh my god. I will never forget when I was a kid, I sat here and a bird had an accident on my head. So now I think that's where my fear of birds comes from. There's a lot of crows, and they really are not scared of people. Like I feel like because they're so used to getting fed that they'll just come up to you and try to snatch things off of you. So we're gonna keep walking. Also behind me is where you can catch the aqua bus, which is like a little boat that takes you to different spots. And I think I might do that later because it's usually not something that people who are local will take, but I want to take it, so we're gonna do it. That area was a little bit chaotic, especially with so many birds. I just like was not an enjoyable. Oh no. What? There's so much construction over here. I feel like they do a pretty good job here of preserving most of the historical buildings, but I did not realize that they were doing all this. Hey, this is my favorite view. You guys, I'm very hopeful that the weather is going to clear up. I see a spot of blue in the sky. I feel like there's a chance that it's going to clear up. I love that it's so nice out today that I can sit out here, because if it was raining as it was the week before I arrived in Vancouver, we would not be able to do this. A lot of people talk about the weather here as like the best because it doesn't get super cold. And you know what? I hear you, but I will say the gray is not the most appetizing thing. I can handle this in small doses, but if you have any type of like seasonal depression, this is not very conducive to happy vibes. You know what I mean? Seeing the same gray shade every single day can get a little bit much. So for that reason, I do miss having sun. Actually, let's compare the weather real quick because I'm here and I have nothing else to do. When I've lived here, I lived here until 2019. I moved to Toronto from 2019 until 2024. So I was there for 5 years, and then I'm in Calgary now. So I think overall, the weather in Vancouver is generally the mildest. Think of it kind of like the California of Canada, but it's not totally like California. I think this is kind of considered a rainforest if my elementary school education is remembering correctly. So for that reason, it rains a lot here. But if you don't mind the rain, and some people tell me that they like it, then this is perfect because you're not going to get super freezing cold temperatures. I mean, most people don't even get winter tires here. Toronto, on the other hand, winter in Toronto is definitely noticeably harsher. East Coast winters in general are harsher. So think of like New York, Chicago. Winter there is pretty similar. One year my family visited me in Toronto. It was like minus 30 wind chills or something. And they basically said, we're never coming back here. But I don't think it lasts that long. Like it'll last maybe a week or something. You would want to get a jacket that is well suited for that temperature. Generally on a good day, it'd be about -5. And then on a bad day, it'll be like -25. I would say it varies. The annoying part is when I was there, I feel like it would get very slushy through the winter. So there'd be a big dump of snow and then it'll get super slushy, and then it kind of stays like that for a while. Most of the time in the winter when I was there, you would get like that -5 to -10 range. And then a few weeks out of the winter, you'd get the wind chills and you need to bring out like the biggest parka that you own. So Calgary, on the other hand, is a very, very, very dry cold. I don't know how else to explain it because like people would keep telling me, oh, you don't really feel like it's minus whatever. And I was like, how is that possible? But if you ever do visit, I would say as long as you have the right layers and you're bundled up, it doesn't hit you as hard. And usually it's sunny. I could say like in a given week, 5 out of 7 days are usually sunny, and maybe a couple of days would be a bit overcast or gray. So mental health, very, very good from that perspective. However, the temperature, I personally don't love to be out when it's like -20 and below, but you will have more days out of the winter that are in that temperature range when you're in Calgary compared to Toronto. I completely forgot to mention one of the most important parts of winter in Calgary, and that is the Chinook winds. Basically, there are winds that come from the Rocky Mountains and it just brings in warm air, but that also means that the temperature swings can be pretty drastic. So some weeks it can jump from like -20 Celsius to 8 to 10 degrees, but it does make a pretty big difference in the wintertime. And that's the end of Winter 101. And then I'll talk about summers. Honestly, every city in Canada in the summertime can be so nice, but it is true that it's very short. So literally every city that I visit, it lasts about like maybe 2.5 to 3 months. So moral of the story, try to visit in the summer or try to explore winter activities. I feel like it suddenly got very busy here when I decided to choose a spot to talk because it was super quiet, but that's okay. Also, these are the macarons. I'm a little bit scared to eat them because there's too many birds around, but I got 2 matcha, 2 something with alcohol that I forgot, and then a jackfruit one. This is the place that I went to. and he gave me a little extra treat.
And we kiss by and part.
Unfortunately, because it's winter time, the sun is gonna set and it's about 4 p.m. right now. But there's one more shop that I want to check out. It's probably one of my favorite shops here. I know I keep saying that things are my favorite, but I promise this is actually one of my favorites for trinkets, gifts, stuff like that. So I'm gonna pop in there, and then afterwards I am gonna take the aqua bus. I'm hoping it's not going to be completely dark when I get on there, but it might be because the sun is literally setting right now. But that's going to take me back to the other area, kind of close to where I was earlier today. It might be nice at this time, I don't know. But I really want to check out the store, so I might as well since I'm here. This is the place. Thank you. The aqua bus is basically a ferry service that stops along different areas from Granville Island to downtown. When I was a kid, I thought this was just for sightseeing, which people do, but it's also how some people get around. And I think if you're already here, it is worth giving it a try, and it's always such a nostalgic thing for me to do whenever I get the chance. We have made it to Olympic Village. So this is one of the stops for the aqua bus. This is a very nice view, I gotta admit. I was kind of worried because I thought it'd be completely dark, but you can kind of still see the mountains back there. We have made a hard pivot and I'm now at a Mexican restaurant. I don't really know what my thought process was, but I suddenly craved tacos. I literally know nothing about this place. I just saw it was on the map. I love me some birria tacos, which is what I got. I also got a horchata, which is my favorite. Usually this is a sign of how good a place is if they have horchata. There's honestly not that many Mexican restaurants, I feel like, that I love. The last time I was in Vancouver, we went to a taco place that my friend recommended and it was very, very good. So I'm hoping that this lives up to my expectations. My hands are probably gonna get very dirty, so I'm gonna devour this and also probably wrap up the vlog here. But I hope you guys enjoyed coming along for a little solo day in Vancouver. I actually had a really, really nice time. But with that said, thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already liked this video, make sure to do so. It really supports my channel. I'll see you guys in the next one. All right, let's get into these tacos.